One of the most crucial preparations every American must make before 2026 is securing a reliable water source and the means to purify it. In any kind of crisis, be it a natural disaster, grid failure, or societal collapse, access to clean water is often the first thing to disappear. Municipal water systems are fragile and depend on electricity, infrastructure, and chemical treatments to function. If any part of that chain breaks down, the tap runs dry, or worse, becomes contaminated. Without clean water, a person can survive only about 3 days. That makes water not just a priority, but a survival non-negotiable. The first step is to identify multiple water sources near your home. This might include streams, rivers, ponds, rain collection, or even snowmelt depending on your region. If you live in a city, plan for backup storage. Barrels, water bricks, or large containers that can hold weeks or months of potable water. Rainwater harvesting systems are especially effective and legal in many states. Even in small spaces, you can store water using stackable containers or repurposed food-grade barrels, but storage isn't enough. You also need reliable purification methods. Boiling is the simplest method, but it requires fuel and time. More practical for ongoing emergencies are portable water filters like LifeStraw, Sawyer Mini, or Berkey systems, which can remove bacteria, protozoa, and some viruses. Water purification tablets are compact and effective for short-term use, but they should be part of a larger strategy, not your only line of defense. Don't rely on one method. Redundancy is key. Have a gravity filter, a backup pump filter, tablets, and a heat source for boiling. Learn how to pre-filter dirty water using cloth to remove debris before purifying it. You should also have clear knowledge of how to assess whether water is safe or risky based on color, smell, and proximity to pollutants or animals. Prepping for water security isn't glamorous, but it's essential. It protects your health, gives you independence from government systems, and provides peace of mind when everything else is uncertain. Start now while clean water is easy to access, because once it's gone, it may be too late to prepare. The second critical preparation every American must make before 2026 is building a long-term, shelf-stable food supply. In times of crisis, whether it's a blackout, economic collapse, civil unrest, or natural disaster, grocery store shelves empty out fast. We've seen it during the pandemic, during storms, and even during short-term supply chain disruptions. Food scarcity can happen overnight, and if you're unprepared, you're vulnerable. The key is to start now by gradually stockpiling food that doesn't require refrigeration and has a long shelf life. Focus on calorie-dense staples like rice, beans, oats, pasta, canned meats, powdered milk, peanut butter, and freeze-dried meals. These foods can last years if stored properly and can sustain energy levels under high-stress conditions. Aim for at least 3 months of food per person in your household, then build from there. Rotation is essential. Don't just hoard and forget. Use what you store and store what you use. This keeps your supply fresh and your habits familiar. Label everything with expiration dates and rotate newer stock to the back. Make a habit of checking your food inventory monthly and replenishing what you consume. Also, don't overlook comfort foods. In a stressful situation, morale is a survival factor. Store coffee, chocolate, spices, and shelf-stable treats to maintain some sense of normalcy. Having the ability to cook decent meals can provide a huge mental boost during a crisis. Proper storage is just as important as the food itself. Keep your supplies in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. Use airtight containers or mylar bags with oxygen absorbers to extend freshness. If pests are a concern, consider metal containers or bins with secure lids. Lastly, learn how to cook with your emergency food. Practice now with meals that use only your stored ingredients and require minimal tools. Know how to cook without electricity, whether that's on a propane stove, rocket stove, solar oven, or over a fire. Prepping your pantry without prepping your skills is a dangerous gap. Food security means independence. It's insurance against inflation, disaster, and supply breakdowns. By preparing your food stockpile now, you're not just prepping for disaster. You're buying peace of mind and protecting your future. Water is the most vital survival resource, yet it's often the most overlooked. Without clean, drinkable water, human survival becomes impossible within 3 days. That's why the third key preparation every American must make before 2026 is securing reliable water access and purification methods. In a blackout, natural disaster, or civil disruption, municipal water systems can fail. Pipes can freeze, water plants can shut down, and contamination can spread rapidly. When that happens, the tap runs dry, or worse, it runs dirty. Start by storing a minimum of 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 2 weeks. For a family of 4, that's 56 gallons. You can store water in food, grade barrels, 5-gallon containers, or even stackable water bricks. Store them in a cool, dark place and rotate every 6 months to ensure freshness. Water is bulky, so having a systemized storage plan is key. But storage alone is not enough. You need a way to source and purify water long-term. That means owning a high-quality gravity-fed filter like a Berkey, Katadyn, or LifeStraw family system. These can purify water from lakes, rivers, and even rain catchment. Boiling is another purification method, but it requires fuel and time, so filtration is the more sustainable daily option. Additionally, consider having water purification tablets or drops as a backup. They're compact, affordable, and effective, especially if you're on the move. A small bottle of iodine tablets or chlorine dioxide drops can treat dozens of gallons. You should also scout your local area now for natural water sources, streams, ponds, rain runoff zones. If you're in the city, learn your building's water storage systems and whether you can tap into roof runoff. If you own your home, consider setting up a rain catchment system with safe barrels connected to your gutters. Lastly, don't forget about hygiene and cooking needs. Drinking water is critical, but you'll also need water for washing, cleaning, and preparing food. Having a separate supply or gray water plan ensures you're not depleting your drinking water. Water preparedness isn't optional. It's survival 101. By securing both stored and renewable water sources and having reliable purification methods, you drastically increase your odds of thriving in any crisis. Water is life. Secure it now or suffer later. When a crisis hits, whether it's a blackout, natural disaster, or civil unrest, your ability to communicate can make the difference between isolation and informed survival. That's why the fourth prep every American must make before 2026 is building a reliable off-grid communication system. In a world where we depend on smartphones, internet access, and power grids, losing all three at once is not just possible. It's likely during a national emergency. First, understand that when cell towers go down or networks are overloaded, your phone becomes useless. Texts won't send, calls won't go through, GPS and weather apps stop working. That's when preppers turn to tried and true tools like hand, crank, or solar-powered emergency radios. These radios can receive NOAA weather alerts, government broadcasts, and regional news, even if the power and internet are out. The next level of preparedness involves two-way radios. Handheld walkie-talkies Talkies with a decent range 5 to 10 miles are essential for short-range family or neighborhood communication. For longer distances, consider unrest or HEM radios. HEM requires a license, but it's worth getting if you're serious about survival networking. It allows you to communicate with people across cities, or even states, when other systems fail. You should also create a family communication plan now. Choose rally points, assign backup roles, and make sure everyone knows how to use the gear. Include laminated cards with key phone numbers, emergency radio frequencies, and backup meeting locations in every bug-out bag. When chaos erupts, you don't want to be flipping through a dead phone looking for answers. Satellite communication is another valuable prep if you can afford it. Devices like the Garmin InReach or Zoleo let you send and receive messages via satellite. They're more expensive but provide coverage where cell towers don't exist, making them ideal for remote or long-term scenarios. Additionally, preload your phone or offline tablet with digital survival libraries. These should include maps, first aid manuals, edible plant guides, and prepper checklists. Make sure these devices are charged using solar or hand crank backup systems. Communication isn't just about staying in touch, it's about staying one step ahead. It gives you access to news, alerts, rescue coordination, and morale support. In a crisis, silence is dangerous. Build your communication plan now, and you'll never be left in the dark. When preparing for the uncertain years ahead, particularly before 2026, one of the most critical yet often overlooked steps is securing an emergency water supply. Water is not a luxury, it's survival. You can live weeks without food, but only a few days without clean water. And in any major disaster, blackout, grid collapse, cyber attack, or supply chain failure, municipal water systems can be disrupted without warning. Most Americans rely on tap water flowing from their sinks, but when the grid goes down, those pumps stop. If the power stays off for days or weeks, the water pressure disappears, and what's left in your pipes becomes undrinkable fast. Contamination, broken infrastructure, or sabotage could also render your local supply completely unsafe. That's why preppers prioritize water storage. A solid starting point is storing at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for drinking, cooking, and minimal hygiene. A 2-week supply is the minimum, but prepping for 30 to 90 days is far wiser. Use food-grade water barrels, jugs, or stackable containers and store them in a cool, dark place to prevent algae or mold growth. But storage isn't enough. You also need a reliable water purification system. Gravity-fed filters like the Berkey or Katadyn are popular among survivalists because they don't require electricity and can purify thousands of gallons over time. Portable straw filters and purification tablets are great backups for bug-out bags or emergency kits. Rainwater catchment systems can also be a long-term solution. Even in urban areas, collecting rainwater from rooftops and storing it in barrels is legal in many states and life-saving in a crisis. Just be sure to filter or boil the water before drinking. If you live near a natural source like a creek, lake, or spring, scout it out in advance and mark the location. Have collapsible containers and purification tools ready to transport and treat it. Don't forget non-consumption water, too. Buckets with lids, wet wipes, and hand sanitizer are crucial for cleaning and hygiene. In a survival situation, staying clean prevents infection and disease, which are major risks when sanitation collapses. Water is life. Without it, none of your other prepping plans matter. Secure your supply now, because when disaster strikes, the taps might not turn back on. In the final stretch toward 2026, one of the most important preparations every American must make is having a realistic and actionable emergency communication plan. In any major crisis, whether it's a nationwide blackout, cyber attack, EMP event, or civil unrest, The first thing to vanish is reliable communication. Cell towers can go down, internet access can be severed, and without a plan, you and your loved ones can be left in dangerous isolation. Too many people assume their phones will always work, but when infrastructure collapses or networks get overloaded, phones become useless bricks. That's why you must prepare for low-tech, off-grid alternatives now, before you're forced to figure it out in the chaos of a real emergency. First, designate meeting points. You and your family or group should know exactly where to go if communication fails. Have at least 2 locations, one near your home and another outside your immediate area, in case evacuation becomes necessary. Write it down and make sure everyone memorizes it. Second, invest in non-cellular communication gear. 2-way radios like FRS, GMRS, or HAM radios are essential for local communication. GMRS radios provide extended range and require only a simple license. HAM radios, while more complex, offer the ability to communicate long distance and tap into emergency frequencies, crucial during national disasters. Learn basic radio operation and teach it to your group. Pre-program frequencies, label them clearly, and conduct occasional tests so everyone knows what to do. Include hand signals or prearranged phrases in your plan to communicate discreetly. Third, consider printed contact sheets. Keep physical copies of phone numbers, addresses, medical info, and critical instructions in your emergency kits, wallets, and vehicles. Don't depend on your smartphone's memory when the grid's down. Fourth, use signal systems if necessary. Colored cloth, signs, or markings at predetermined spots to leave messages or signal status when other communication isn't possible. Finally, stay informed. A crank or solar-powered emergency radio can keep you updated with weather alerts, government instructions, and potential threats when everything else goes dark. Information is power, and in a survival scenario, it can mean the difference between life and death. Don't wait for the silence to remind you of what you should have planned. Set up your emergency communication system now, because when it all goes quiet, the ones who stay connected are the ones who survive.